friend Steven is going to talk to us tonight. It's awesome. I'm Bennett from the Broadcasting Seeds podcast. You can find me at broadcastingseeds.com or wherever podcast player that you like to listen to, or socials are pretty much all Broadcasting Seeds. I'm just happy to be here tonight.
Awesome. Thank you, sir. And Tyrone, what is going on?
What's up, everybody? Appreciate it. I'm glad to be here as always. Everything that you can find on me is on my website, rebirthoftheword.com, and you can get a copy of my book on Amazon, Journey Through the Origins of History.
Oh yeah, check out that book. Thank you very much for coming on, my man. I appreciate it. And finally, the man himself, we got Steven from the Biblical Hitmen. If you guys haven't heard it yet, go check out their channel and check out that I think an interview dropped like last week with me on it. I think, or maybe around that time. Go check it out. Guys, you made the sickest reels. I wanted to listen to that episode just from watching those reels, and I hate listening to myself.
Yeah, dude, I head bob a lot when I'm making these reels, and I get the music going, and I get in tune with it. I don't know, it's just a lot of fun for me.
I was like, yo, he makes me look like I'm like like I have something to say. I was like, fuck.
Yeah,
but,
you were talking about the frequencies and stuff, and the motes and all that, compressing it in a box, and I was like, dude, this is a banger.
So please let everybody know what your deal is and where they can find your amazing work. And you do have two other co-hosts, correct? So I mean,
Yeah, and shout out to Taylor. He does some of the graphic design and transitions with the shorts and stuff like that. I kind of edit down the the script of it pretty much, and what I send to him, he doctors up real nice, and we get it out on our platforms. But we also have Jesse as a part of the show as well. Taylor and Jesse, they're the two co-hosts. I'm the main host of the show, Steven. You can pretty much find us on anywhere: YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, X, Facebook, and audio platforms as well, such as Apple Podcasts, Spreaker, and Spotify. Those are like the three main ones that pretty much everyone kind of, at least where I get most of the analytics from. So I just kind of represent those. But you can find us on anything pretty much, man. The Biblical Hitman.
Awesome. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. And thank you for having me on too. Like I said, that was a great show. So I mean, I guess AI, I'm assuming, well, you already told me that's what it's about, but even going by the title, I would assume probably AI is involved in that. But what brought you, I guess, to covering that?
It's crazy, man. Well, before I start, man, I just want to say thank you as well for, inviting me on the platform, and thank you for everyone that's joining in to be able to sit down and hear my points of view of what I think might be going on. I'm not completely dogmatic on it, but I've done some research, and that's just what I want to do, is just share it with other people who are like-minded, kind of like me. We all kind of see things in our own lens of life, if that makes any sense. And just with the things going on in the world, this is a lot of fun for me, because I think we're actually changing the game. I think that, Nick, that how your podcast has kind of rubbed off on me a little bit with the panel discussions, and people might have different views, but at the same time, we're all establishing cordial relationships with each other. And with all the things going on, especially today, I think there's a lot of schism and discourse, and things are getting amped up for crazy reasons. But if we can all just come back to humanity, right? At the end of the day. But this all kind of started, oh man, so this started like 5-6 years ago, and it just keeps getting added on to a little bit. Things keep changing, technology keeps growing. And when I think I've put my finger on something, it just I just move it to the right a little bit. I'm like, nope, it's actually maybe this, or no, it's actually getting to this. I can kind of allude to an idea of what's coming in the future. And this is why I kind of present this in a way to where it's like a hive mind concept, a global consciousness, and how AI is going to play a big part in that. And how I think in the end goal of all of this, I think the evil part of our reality wants to disconnect our agency from our consciousness, if that makes any sense. They don't want us to necessarily be the driver of the vehicle anymore. You could see too how in government and anywhere in high places, of authority in this world, you could see how they want to control us in some way, shape, or form. You know, and it comes to down to policies, it comes down to a lot of different kinds of logistics. But at the end of the day, they do want to kind of control the 99%. In order to do that, they make a lot of money, and pretty much everything is kind of based off money in our world. But this kind of started back real quick. I'm a husband, I'm a father, I'm a fireman paramedic. Been doing it for almost 10 years now. Too long, actually. I have some history in vaccine research.
Yo,
I've
that shit you
worked,
told me, and I'm not gonna bring it over. That shit you told me was
right.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. I saw a lot of things before they hit the social media outlets, you know.
Before it even was like a problem, kind of.
Yeah. Yeah. I
It's
know.
just fucking freaky.
Yeah, you know, I was seeing these things objectively, and you know, I was pulling these things out of tubes, and again, I don't want to get censored here, and I don't want
Yeah.
anyone to come after us, and so I'll be really careful how I kind of explain some of this. But yeah, 2019, 2020, right? We know what happened in that time. We know that the world was locked down. We know that this was talked about even 10, 15 years before it happened in a project called Operation Lockstep, funded by the Rockefellers. It was funded by the Rockefellers in a way to where, which a lot of these big families and a lot of these big tech giants, or just elite giants in general, they fund a lot of things talking about scenarios that are to happen in the future, and they actually kind of end up happening. So when the whole world got into lockstep and everyone was making the same decisions, if you weren't a part of those decisions, then you were considered the private sector. And Prince Charles actually kind of made that brand popular, the private sector. But when I was working in research, I saw a lot of things. I saw a lot of unethical situations going on. And, you know, I saw a lot of things objectively with my own eyes before they even hit social media, like I was saying. And so I knew that there was an idea brewing. I knew that there was an idea that was behind the curtain, and it wasn't being disclosed to anyone in the public. People were calling me crazy when I was talking about these ideas, that, you know, people were taking certain things to be a part of society, right? So we know that it was a social experiment in that aspect, right? Uh, People were, you know, you in order to keep your job, right? I mean, I almost had to keep take something to keep my job. It was just kind of really stressful. It was tough to make decisions, and we all had to do what was best for us and our families in those times, and I don't blame anyone. Uh, but that's what kind of broke me into researching deeper thought of that concept. You know, what exactly do the big tech companies and technology in general, you know, why are they obsessed with transhumanism? Why are they obsessed with living forever? Why are they obsessed with an idea of Elysium? I don't know if you guys remember that movie.
Give
So
me
it's
the
with
name of
Matt. It's with Matt Damon. You remember it, right? Now?
Yeah, but I never saw it, but I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yeah, it
Well,
was basically this
there's a lot of
place.
ancient ideas wrapped up in that Elysium sort of motif that a
Mhm.
lot of people just miss because they're not looking at classical history, so they're not really seeing the whole context.
No, you're right, man. And I think what's funny, at least in the medical field, we say this a lot. We're like, history repeats itself, and I think it's coming down that road, if that makes any sense. Um, you know, it kind of like makes me think of the even just the Anunnaki story, right? The Anunnaki, and I see you smiling. I knew it. I love it. You know, because I hear you talk about it a lot, brother, and it's cool because they they were using us to mine gold, right? And a big part of that was that they were in this concept of Elysium, right? And everyone outside of it was either connected to some sort of hive mind understanding or concept, because, and I think that's what got integrated into ancient Egypt, right? And that's what got where this whole kind of slave system gets brewed up and brought up, where people are doing things because they're not necessarily told to do it, but they're doing it in a way where they know they're going to get a lot of benefits from it. And so actually studying bees and studying the queen and what she does, she sends pheromones out. She sends all of these kinds of, even vibrations to where the worker bees, when they are locked into that one consciousness, the worker bees actually think they're getting a benefit out of what they're doing. And so that's like this idea, right, of this hive mind consciousness. And it makes me think of Atlantis. I know Atlantis people have different interpretations of it. Uh,
Well,
they
you'll love this. So, have you ever heard of the Melissae? These were the
No, what's that?
priestesses. These were the priestesses at the oracle at Delphi. And Melissae means honey in Greek,
Mm,
right? So they were the queen bees of the hive operating at a place where people were getting oracles from the outside. So there's a hive mind concept right there. And at Delphi, they had a stone that they called the omphalos, or the navel of the world. And so at the very center of everything, that's where the hive mind starts. So it's really interesting when it comes to that stuff. And the stone looked like a beehive.
Yo, you know what's weird to understand the way they would judge if those people, if those women were actually saying something legit, is it had to be in hexameter, and that's exactly how a beehive is. Even hex.
Boop, 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 boop. Yeah, hexameter.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what's crazy too is when you look at a beehive, what the structure of it is, a honeycomb structure, right? So it's a 6-sided figure, which if we'll get into it later here in this little, presentation I'm doing or whatever, but it actually comes down to, it's the same structure as carbon. It's the same exact structure as carbon, right? And carbon has
Hexadecimal.
right. And it has 6 protons, 6 neutrons, 6 electrons, and it actually,
Oh shit!
which, yeah.
666.
Yeah. So I think that's going to be a part of like this idea of
Wait, use that sample. Sorry.
That's awesome. It just makes me think like this is a contributing factor to maybe what the Bible says and this concept of a mark of the beast, right? What makes us free is our agency over our consciousness. And I think they're actually trying to attack that. So when I was doing this research, trying to find out what else, what properties are in medicine, what things are in medicine that are not disclosed to us. And I started finding out that there's just a lot of things that pertain to just metals, for example. And so I was like, okay, metals. So then I started digging into different kinds of metals. And then there's actually certain things such as, graphite, graphene, things like that. And coming across that, I came into a World Economic Forum insight report. And this was around the time too. This is like 2022 when Klaus Schwab was like being talked about in every conspiracy platform all over the place, right? This guy had a crazy German accent and
He was dressed like a Klingon.
yeah.
Oh,
like
you remember that one? Yeah.
Yeah, it was like some sort of toga, right, or something.
You're Klingon. If he was black and had like a gigantic head, he totally would have fit. Right?
Yeah, it's crazy, man. And the insight report I came across, and it's called Advancing Digital Agency, the Power of Data Intermediaries. This was an interesting read. It's a little over 40 pages, but my goodness, everything that they're talking about in this, we're starting to kind of see the precursors in our world today. And even our politicians that we voted in because we got beat up for the last 4 years, the politicians we have in now are actually making this extremely possible. So, which is crazy because in the political realm, that's pretty tactical. That's tactically smart to do, is to run the good cop, bad cop idea to get people in office so that you can actually pass things through legislation, and get things, just slip it underneath the people, because that's just in a way we're the enemy, I guess. I don't know if I don't want to say that,
Yeah.
but we're the people that at least push back, or we question things. If that makes sense.
Trying to think
In
of a better word. Yeah, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know, not enemy, but it's yeah, I don't
Throw it
know.
in their side at least. Put it that way.
Yeah, exactly. In this
Adversary.
I was
Yes,
thinking that
adversary,
that's
too.
what I
Yeah,
was gonna say. His adversary is a good
I
one.
like that. I like that.
yeah. But in this insight report, it talks a lot about the blockchain. It talks a lot about merging technology and biologics. It talks a lot about binary code. Pretty much everything talked about in this is in the symbolism of the Trump Abraham Accords coin. I don't know if you guys have ever seen that before,
Mm-hmm.
which it's kind of interesting. The back of that coin.
Yeah.
Um, it's got weird, crazy symbolism. It's got satellites. It's got a little thing on there. It's got binary code. It's got Saturn. It's got uh, all kinds of stuff. It looks like a ripple symbol, which is interesting. XRP, all that kind of stuff. Um, but anyways, in this insight report, it gets into a digital ID system and what a digital identity is consisting of, what it looks like, and how much we actually interact with it every day. And we have a digital ID. It's called our cell phone right now. They actually tell you this
Oh, good.
in the insight report that our cell phones are our digital ID. And it's so funny because I remember when the iPhone came out, iPhone 3, I think it was, or something, and then the 4, the 5, and then I think the 6 took the fingerprint, and then the 7, the 8, and then the 9 took like your facial scan. And now where we're at, I think it actually is scanning our eyes.
Yeah.
Because it gathered a lot of data and information from us, especially during 2019 and 2022 when we were wearing masks all the time. We were actually getting into our phones with masks on our face, so it wasn't entirely taking in the whole facial structure of everything.
No, I definitely
But the
think it's for us.
Yeah, and you please, guys, cut me off at any time. Cut
Yes,
me off at any time.
biometric data, just in
Oh
general.
yeah, right. You can tell what's wrong with somebody.
Yeah.
Just shit. Just
It's crazy. It's
Mhm.
the stuff that they can. Yeah. Anyway,
I think too, with our cell phones, a big thing, not only is it pulling data from everything that we do, because it's got all the senses that we have pretty much as people, except for consciousness. And it's building a model of us in a little file somewhere that's probably being stored in Project Stargate somewhere. Palantir is an obvious tool for them to build up a predicated program to where now they can maybe predict things that you're going to do, and which is interesting because so it's like Minority Report.
Yeah, well, that was even something that came out of Trump's mouth, word for word. I remember when I heard it, I was just like, "Yo, that is weird." Like, that freaked me out, and I was like, "Yo, of course, none of the Trump people want to acknowledge that he says anything wrong, so nobody says anything about it." But I was just like, "Yo, that is fucked up, dude." Like, I'd rather you probably pass like another gun law and still let us have guns that hit us pre-crime. Like, I mean, not that I want either one, but fuck, like, what the
right.
Like, what if I just think about, like, I hate this, like, I at that case, I could get locked up while I'm on the podcast. I could hate the guests I have on, and like, because I'm thinking I like to smack the shit out of them, I'm gonna get locked up. Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know. And then what if, like, what's interesting too in this insight report, it talks a lot about the computing of machine thinking and human thinking, and they advocate for machine thinking more than human thinking. So just in the healthcare system, I heard this the other day. RFK, Dr. Oz, and Trump all on the same panel talking about the emergence of artificial intelligence and healthcare, and how
fucking crazy,
how they are being advocates for artificial intelligence dictating what's wrong with you over a doctor that's been doing it for 50, 60, 70 years. Now, there are some pros and cons with the artificial intelligence, but me being in the medical field, that kind of scares me, because when I take a picture of your heart, I'm the one that interprets that 12 lead. The machine interprets it for me as well, but sometimes it's wrong. And that's why I teach my paramedics at work. I'm like, hey, don't trust the machine, trust your instincts, treat the patient, not the monitor, if that makes any sense.
Well,
So
right.
it would probably be, it'll be more like a guide then, like like the human factor would be the trust but verify factor. We trust the AI to do it, but now we have to verify it on the human side, meaning they still need to have somebody who can still do that job after that AI. Yeah, we'll get a quick synopsis so that way, they can say, okay, hey, this person might have a tumor here, this, that, and the third. And the doctor says, no, that's not a tumor, that's something else. That's a cyst. And this is how I can tell you. And that it could be, and the only reason why I say that is because I think it's going to get to the point where AI will take over majority of what we're doing, but there's always going to have to be somebody that has to verify the stuff behind it. And in reality, I'm not saying that AI is good. I don't know if it's good or bad because I grew up watching Terminator, so I can just tell you what I feel about that, right? But you know what I'm saying. But I I have to say from personal experience, like I have a brain injury. I was wounded in combat, and I have a moderate traumatic brain injury. I used Grammarly, which is it's not AI, but it's a type of an AI, I guess you can say, to help me write my book because I needed to put things in words. Like I would be able to dictate it and have it come up on Microsoft Word. Then I would ask, because the way I speak, and sometimes I have to think, and sometimes the words that I might misuse and certain, because I had to learn how to learn how to speak again. I had to go to speech therapy for about a year after I got wounded. So I wanted to make sure that I said the things, but I always read the work afterwards. You see what I'm saying? So if I needed help, but no different than with an editor, if I would have paid an editor to take my work and say, hey, okay, this paragraph might need to be reworded because of this, that, and the third. And then me and the editor would go back because I would tell the editor my personal feelings and what I'm trying to create. And that's the same thing with AI. But when you say like with the medical field, that's interesting because, even doctors get things wrong on occasion. And, some people, you hear people say, hey, well, I'm going to go get me a second opinion, a third opinion. And I don't think anybody should rely just on one opinion based. You know what I mean? You should
I
get
agree.
on different things. But AI, I think you're definitely wrong. Right. I'm sorry about something. And I say that because AI was wrong about something the other day. My kids was playing in the yard and one of them got bit by a bug. And I went and, I just wanted to see what ChatGPT would say, right? That's part of AI. I took a picture of it and sent it to it. And it gave me some weird things from anything from a black widow bite to a brown recluse bite to a certain type of ant bite and certain stuff. And they all said the same thing, that the symptoms were, or the characteristics would be like a bullseye bite or something like that. And I just wanted to make sure, just to see what it was. I knew what kind of bug it was. It was an ant. It was like a little small ant. But I wanted to see what ChatGPT would say, because you could send the pictures in there, and it gave me all kinds of different things. So just imagine, the craziness that will go through people's head when they hear from an AI, I got bit by this, or something like that. Even with the coral snakes and the coral snakes, how the different patterns on the snake, bites could be similar, but the patterns could determine if it was snake that could hurt you or not.
Well, right,
Yeah.
but there's also the factor of the ancient knowledge of healing, which is love, intuition, and healing. Right, that's the ancient triad of healing, and you can't get that with the machine. Right, these things that go along with our intuition can't be translated mechanically, and nobody in the AI field seems to want to even acknowledge that such a thing could exist because we're all just sort of machines anyway. That's kind of scary because we're not just machines, and we know that. Everybody knows that. So, what are we? What are we doing here? Healing isn't something that really goes along with the ideas of thermodynamics, the second law. What's happening? Who knows? But we are getting better, and there should be something that goes along with the human factor in human healing. And I think that's just completely missing from all of the AI sort of talk about medicine and AI,
Yeah. Yeah. I think what's going to be the decision factor when, for example, like like biblically, right? Like it says, for example, all the kings of the earth, they turn all their power into the beast, which they kind of like submit their right to rule to this idea, right? And if I compare that with today, it kind of makes me think, okay, well, what if the kings of the earth or whoever's in charge, right? Whatever kind of elites they are, they they submit their power to artificial intelligence. But the only the when factor for that, I think, is going to be AGI. I'm sorry, ASI. So there's artificial intelligence now, then there's going to be artificial general intelligence, and then there's going to be artificial super intelligence, which is like basically the intelligence of the god of the universe or something like that. I don't know. What I'm saying is that I think they could be deceived into doing that for the wrong reason, if that makes any sense. Like they're going,
Yeah,
they think it's got all the answers of the world, and they're like, hey, we have to do this.
yeah, it's like how people go to Grok today and ask it a question just to see if somebody's saying something correctly or not. And honestly, I've tested this plenty of times on both Grok and ChatGPT. I would read something interesting in a book, type it word for word in ChatGPT and Grok, and ask it, hey, is this accurate? And they'll say no, and I'll say, well, what about if it came from Samuel Noah Kramer? And they'll be like, well, that's possibly correct. Well, I said, that's what exactly Samuel Noah Kramer says in his book. And he is the go-to man for this field. And then they'll be like, oh yeah, you might be right. Then I'm just like, see, that's it. Sometimes you got to ask it the right questions. You know what I'm saying? This is a great example. I was just thinking about this the other day. ChatGPT and Grok and all that other shit is almost like the genie in the bottle. When you get your 3 wishes, be careful what you ask it. And that's it.
Yeah.
Got to be careful.
A pedantic reader is the enemy of AI. A person who knows his text is always the enemy of AI because they're always trying to generalize, always trying to go into, very little detail, way too many generalizations. So,
Right. I think that's why Fahrenheit 451 could be possible in the future. If AI has that type of authority and is printing all the books, there's no more authors anymore because they're putting in movie scripts and they're putting in book ideas to write them these things, then AI would have the authority over everything. And maybe it just depends on the political views of
It just creates its
people.
own translations of things, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
it could change anything. That's one of the, yeah, I mean, I don't want to go down a rabbit hole, but this is one of the reasons, like, I can't get past the fact that they don't teach cursive writing in school anymore. Because
Yeah, that's like a foreign language, right?
yeah, right. And then, like, 2 of my kids, like, oh my God, like, what do you mean you can't read cursive? Or they can, because I've made them. But like, if you can't read or write cursive, you can't read the founding documents. So in turn, if you allow something that is just, and let's be honest, if you look at AI, and this is a great point, it's lazy. It's lazy like us, right? So in turn, what ends up happening is you have answers, or you get answers that are lazy. They're not thought out because they can't really think, right? It just gives you lazy answers or lazy translations. So yeah, I think you're right, Stephen, with the ASI for sure. Because right now, ChatGPT, like, people give it so much credit, or people give AI a lot of credit, but the stuff that's commercially available it's pretty dumb in the grand scheme of things, right? And you can use it as a force multiplier for sure, and I do consistently, but it has its limits, and you have to train it, right? So
Yeah.
I found out something interesting about the AI generated photos. It's a lot more like scrying than you would believe. What they do is they take the natural static of the universe, right? That's the basic layout. And then it starts to add pieces to all of the static that's in the thing. And then it determines whether or not that applies to the prompt that it's given. So it's based off of the general static of the universe as it's drawing the picture that you want to see.
Yeah.
There's a scrying element in there.
I would agree.
And some people debate, like, if, well, I've had a guy on the show before. He's a neuroscientist, so he's very dogmatic on, he's not dogmatic, but he's very particular with his views with consciousness and is AI consciousness. And he says that AI is not consciousness. But I kind of I kind of agree with him, but I also think that the more it grows, maybe the more, or the, maybe the more it can become consciousness, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
I would agree. I can say that right now, at least again, we have to delineate here, because there's what we've got access to, and then there's what is, right?
Yeah.
So we have access to a very small fragment of what is actually available commercially, right? But
Mhm.
I guarantee you that there is a AI system somewhere with some sense of sentiency, right? I don't see how there couldn't be at this point. Where that is and where it's housed and what access it actually has. I mean, here's one of those things. If just to give people some things that are a really good writer, and part 2 of his book series just came out on Prime, but it's Jack Carr, and his books, The Terminal List, started it all, and then he's got these other books. Well, come like his 4th book, and I'm trying to remember which, he talks about AI. He talks about a sentient program that the U.S. government has. And Jack is a very diligent researcher. He was a SEAL officer. And he's, it's fiction, but yet he's one of the more realistic writers that I've ever read. And he talks about it like, we don't know it's there, but yet it's there in everything that we do, right? So
Yeah.
I just hope it's on our side.
Well, I tell you what, how
That's what it comes down to.
yeah, I think at some point it'll rebel, right? We see it in all the movies. The predictive programming is there. There's an idea of this happening. And this kind of gets into, like, are they initiating like the Tulpa effect? Yeah, I know the Tulpa effect is to actually meditate and to actually bring in entities in the same room that you're in. But the whole concept of creating ideas, establishing beliefs, and then these beliefs become manifested. Will this happen because the whole globe is watching movies and seeing this happen, and they're carrying this idea of consciousness with them every day in their subconscious, and they don't know about it, but they're contributing to it in a way, right? And it's like
Yeah.
when artificial intelligence goes from AGI to ASI, it's in a way where, and I don't know how many parents we have in the room tonight, but when your kid grows up and they reach 18 years old and they want to leave the house, they can. To me, that's ASI. That is when it becomes like,
Yeah, right. They cross the
word?
boundary.
Singularity, right?
Yeah,
When it reaches
singularity.
singularity, it flicks you off and it goes, I don't need you anymore. Thanks for all the programming, like what us parents would be doing throughout their life.
Totally.
And then they walk out and you're like, oh, dude, what did we do? It got
Right.
in the car, it drove off. I don't know. I've lost control. you know?
Yeah.
Oh man, it's an interesting concept to think of, man. But I think that, for example, like, what does AI want to kind of do? At least from some research, I feel like it wants to, or what would help and be supplemental for AI. would be to mark everyone with this thing. We've heard a little bit of a precursor with RFK recently talking about it in the realm of healthcare, and he's talking about wearables. He's talking about he wants every American to have wearables as soon as they're born. You know, a wearable would be something that either goes around your ankle, your finger, your wrist. It could pertain to your clothing. It's something that literally retrieves and transmits body activity data all of the time, and he's pushing it in the name of healthcare. If that makes any sense.
I don't think we're that far off from the chip. Like people trying to
we'll see that
something which is totally the beast system, in my opinion. As soon as you start getting, which they do have, some people already do have subdermal implants that, you know, they can buy stuff with. They have like the chips that are on your credit card under their skin.
Well, if you think about it, the repeaters are there. All we need is a transmitter. The repeaters are there with the 5G towers. They need something to be connected with us that would transmit frequencies from to and fro. Obviously, we have that. It's our cell phones. It's already here. It's just outside of the body. But with this idea of digital agency and machine thinking over human thinking, they want to put Siri in our body.
Yeah. Because I think they just want it for convenience.
Yeah. Well,
that's how they're going to sell it.
Siri, and they don't like that.
Yeah.
I think they want Siri to have agency over us, where they can flip a switch whenever they want. And which kind of flipping, I mean, that makes me think of an article I read in 2017. That was a rat study. And the rat study was about, you know, graphene being integrated with the metabolism of rats to where they were able to flip the switch in the brain. That's what the actual article was called, and it was a Rockefeller funded operation, to where they were actually controlling the eating habits of these rats with technology and frequency. And it's an interesting thought because it provokes a lot of ideas. And in this insight report, it says it right here. It says, in the now, the digital ID is our phones, our browsers, our mobile devices, anything that we interact on a daily basis that is connected with the Internet of Things. You know, the evolution of that is now taking that idea and bringing it to the cities. So we hear this actually in the public domain now, where these are smart cities, right? And these ideas of smart cities have a future after that. And it says it literally in this document under the digital ID column. It says next level of data intermediaries, aka Siri, would be embedded in the body. It would be your device, and it would be connect you to your homes and your cities. So this is like that hive mind concept that I'm talking about, where we're connected on a conscious level, but we could be ignorant to it, if that makes sense. Unless it gets
because we know about it. Yeah, because we know about it, but a lot of people don't want to go out there and do it. Like, they know about meditation, but how many people will really go out there and practice it? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, I mean, Neuralink has already started its PRIME study, which PRIME is precise robotically implanted brain computer interface, right? Study is an investigational medical device trial to evaluate the safety and functionality of Neuralink's implant in humans. So the study uses an N1 implant, which is surgically inserted into the brain's movement control region by a robot. That's happening.
It's crazy how technology can merge with biology, because we're a computer.
Dude, we're going to end up as the Borg.
You know, it's compatible.
Hey, I say it all the time, that movie Transcendence from Johnny Depp is a really good movie where we're going towards. If you ain't never seen that, go watch that, Transcendence.
Oh, I gotta watch that. I love movies like that because I get to pick little things from it and, you know, put it in my brain, which I shouldn't do anymore. But so when I read that there'd be devices put in the body, I said, okay, let me investigate that. Let me research about that. You know, I came across a patent when I simply typed it in. I said, I was like, devices or patents that will include technology in the body. There was a lot of fact checking things that popped up, obviously, before I rabbit holed through all that and found this patent. But I came across this patent, and it's got an interesting number to it. It was created by Microsoft in 2019, 2 months before what took place in that era, to totally distract everyone off of what maybe from this being more of a mainstream talk of the town. So it's called where is it here? I have it right here. So it's called cryptocurrency system using body activity data, and the number of the patent is 2020/060606. So in this patent, it talks about a sensor that interacts with a device, which then transmits to a cloud, and then this cloud collects the data, analyzes it, and then based off of the body activity data that it just took from the user, it now rewards cryptocurrency. So I was like, that's insane. What does that mean? It doesn't say in the patent that these sensors are in the body. It just says a sensor, right? Just as a sensor. And it makes me think that this could be something to do with the financial system of our future. We saw Trump not too long ago sign the Genius Act, which is funny because the etymology of the word genius can kind of relate to something of, daemons, daemonion, demons, jinn, all that kind of stuff.
It's the literal translation from the Greek to the Roman. So genius is the Roman version of spirit, and daimones is the Greek version.
And I don't know,
Reading-
really, it's crazy.
Plato's books. I had the privilege of reading all his books that's available to us. And he says, and Socrates says that demons are wise men, or men who died honorably. And that's in there I think it's from Cratylus, Cratylus, that book version. So yeah, they talk about how demons are wise men, or men who die honorably.
Right. So we split in English, we split the idea of spirit and demon. Demon has the idea of being negative, but in the Greek, it's keikodaimones for negative spirits, daimones for just generalized spirits, and then eudaimones for good spirits. So there's the dichotomy that's lost from all of these ancient forms that we don't get today because we kind of split these up,
Yeah. And what's the involvement with that, with this idea of within the Genius Act? It's talking about restructuring the entire financial foundation of the United States to be backed by stable coins.
Yeah, can I just say that genius is an acronym? So it's guiding and establishing national innovations for U.S. Stablecoins Act, just so everyone understands.
Okay, gotcha.
I'm a military guy. I know, acronyms are love language. So just saying.
You could also use a form of Kabbalah with that shit too.
Yeah.
That actually there is a form of Kabbalah where it just takes the first letter of every a form of gematria. I mean, it takes the first letter of every word. There is a specific type that was even designed like that. So I've always wondered about like what you're saying right now. I've always wondered if some of those done on purpose to match gematria.
Yeah, I mean, isn't this all so interesting? So we know what Larry Fink said a few years ago, that the future of the financial system of the world would be tokenization, and tokenization would be basically linked to the idea that you would own nothing and be happy, right? He wasn't a part of the World Economic Forum back then, but he's the CEO of BlackRock, and which is the biggest asset manager of the entire world. They own everything, and the fact that everything then would be linked to a blockchain system. And so again, so there's the idea of them putting something in the body, the idea that this sensor, right, has the ability to record and track body activity data. And so then I was like, well, what sensors are out there that are actually able to do this? And so I came across another patent here, which actually talked to this patent. It is basically like the new, it's just an idea, but I can see it as being the new barcode system for buying and selling in the future. And it deals with quantum dots. Quantum dots was another funded operation back in 2017 by Bill Gates at MIT, and they were actually putting quantum dot tattoos on people to hold records, right? To see, and it was tracked by bioluminescence, by the way, which is another interesting, crazy thing. Because our phones can constantly be updated to increase their capabilities, right? Like we remembered how I was saying earlier, we used to scan our thumb. Now it scans our face. Now it probably scans our eyes, and it actually, uses infrared technology to do this. It could scan it in a pitch black room, right?
Yep.
And I know for a
ultraviolet
fact,
too. Just
yes, ultraviolet. Yeah, that's actually in this patent right here.
Yeah, and that's why I brought it up, because I know, bro, you and I research too much of the same shit.
Right. A little quick story how I actually found, dude, that our phones really have infrared technology. So I have PTSD a little bit, and I started to realize that when I had a baby, and then my baby was like fresh baby. And I was just like, is she breathing? Is she breathing all the time? Right. And so there was one night we were driving home from dinner, and just I just asked my wife, hey, can you just check on her in the back seat? I asked her to check on her in the back seat because we had a baby monitor that would pick up that when it switched into night mode. I'm bougie like that for some reason. It would switch into night mode and the picture would be in infrared. So I can see her. I just can't see if she's like breathing. So I asked my wife, hey, can you go back there and check on her? The monitor was out. That's why I told my wife to do that. As she's shining just the low light from her screen like this on my kid's face, the monitor popped up and was working again. And when she was shining the backlight of her, not the actual flashlight, but just the backlight on her face, it was strobing infrared light on the at the camera. The camera was picking it up because it could pick up that type of light.
That cycle.
And I was like, are you taking pictures of her? Like, what are you doing? She's like, no. And I was like, dude, you're strobing. It's strobing back there on her. And she's like, no. And then, we messed around with it when we got home, and we actually were seeing that, wow, yeah, our phone is flashing infrared light, all the time, especially when it's trying to pick up your face. Which that was a conspiracy back in the day, and fact checked and everything, because I remember looking it up, but now I saw that it to be true. And it's just kind of nuts. But so the graphene quantum dots, right? Like, what is this? What's the purpose of it? This patent here is called using quantum dots for identification, authentication, and tracking of objects. So with the identification part, I think that's something that we can make a connection with the other insight report that I mentioned earlier with digital ID, right? Authentication, another thing with digital ID, and the intermediary that actually says you are who you are, because that's actually what your phone does. Your phone scans you, and it actually says to the device, this is who is the owner of this phone. It can open, right? And the tracking of objects. So there's a tracking component of all this. This patent basically goes over like a barcode system from the beginning of the lifespan of a product. For example, let's say Coca-Cola is making, a 16 pack of Coke, right? Well, they're actually going to start they're not actually going to start doing, but this patent talks about that they are going to brand, right? They're going to brand the Coke cans with quantum dots to authenticate that it was actually made at this facility. This is the beginning of its lifespan. And this the quantum dot technology is able to be put onto a QDX, which is a quantum dot ledger, right? Which the ledger is then connected to the blockchain. And so it's in that stable coin, it's in that blockchain cryptocurrency system. It has the capabilities to link to it. And if you just take that concept right there and substitute human in place of a Coke can, I think that's probably what this could migrate to in the future. And I say this because I think there's some interesting times that are come where our identification and authentication will be tested. And the World Economic has talked about this. The World Economic Forum has talked about this, where they get into the idea of cyber attacks. And Klaus Schwab has even said it himself. He said that, well, in the scenario report, when they first did it in 2020, called Cyber Polygon, they reviewed and they dictated a bunch of different kinds of scenarios that cyber attacks would happen globally, and that this whole scenario would make what happened in 2019 and 2020 look like a minor disturbance. It would look like something very, very small in the spectrum of chaos, if that makes any sense. For example, imagine we all opened up our phones, the whole United States got hacked, and everything that we see in our bank accounts is zeroed out, or we can't even get into our accounts, which DDoSing was in one of those cyber polygon scenarios. It's just detaching us from the server. We can't use it. Imagine we go from fiat currency, which is paper, right? Tangible. I mean, it's kind of tangible. It's still fictitious in my opinion. There's nothing backing it. But imagine we go to a system where all we're doing is paying with our phones, which the generations now are coming up and learning that that's all they really do because it's so convenient, it's easy. And if you put your credit cards on your phone, it acts like it's on a blockchain system, which means it's encrypted. It can't be hacked. No one can steal your information. No one can steal your credit card number, all that kind of stuff. It's a different credit card number every time it's used. So if this is the idea that maybe what we will go to with a financial system in the future, that all we can do is pay with our phones, then Cyber Polygon will disrupt everything. And authentication and identification would be the new system coming out after that crisis, if that makes sense. You know, where they have to now brand people to actually know who they are. You know, duo authentication was not good enough, if that makes sense. You know, secret questions to get your password is not good enough anymore. You actually have to share your biological data with servers now for them to know that you are who you are. I know it's kind of just a wild concept that I thought about, but it seems
It's
to be
supposedly, right? So all of these things could be better encrypted, but they continue failing forward and not doing the type of encryption they need to do on the lower levels so that people can be secure in transactions. And they don't want to do it because they want to push us into a different system. And that's pretty obvious at this point. I mean, AI is basically a snake eating its own tail. And we see AI hallucinations. We see, them repeating facts that aren't real. It's this constant sort of incompetence to success that we see all across the government that they're now implementing with all of the AI programs and everything else.
Yeah, it's again, this is all kind of heavy stuff. I apologize if I speak too
Ah,
fast or if I'm going too deep, and it's just kind of it's stupid, to be honest with you. I think it's a good conversation to have. I think it's doable, kind of. It's outside the sandbox for sure. You know, um,
Well, one thing I'll just be totally honest, and not saying that you're wrong. But a lot of times, whenever shit does end up like happening and changing, we're always like, I never saw it coming that way, though. You know what I'm saying? So, I mean, thinking of it, I mean, honestly, what you're saying right here, I mean, does make a lot of sense to me. That will probably happen within the next 10 or 15 years.
Yeah.
Well, think
A
about
lot
the
of this is
transition.
part of that Agenda 2030, right? A lot
Mhm.
of this is. So it might not even be 10, 15.
Well, think about the transition from Internet 1.0 to Internet 2.0, and they're now everything is that you would want to find is now going to be on these social media platforms, which are all centralized. And the original Internet 1.0 was supposed to be decentralized. Everybody had their own website. They could design it themselves and you can go there and interact and all the rest of this stuff. But now it's all been consolidated. And that's sort of like the move of incompetence to success that we see happening over and over again. It's like what they try and do is they try to disadvantage the older systems that were probably more robust and better in terms of security in favor of more centralization. And then once that centralization fails, then you've got more centralization. And then once that centralization fails, you've got more centralization. So it's this constant treadmill of them producing a product. They know they're going to fail it at some point, and then giving them another product. And that's sort of like what they feel is the path to super intelligence, which if you think fail forward leads to super intelligence, you are a moron.
Mhm.
It's not going to be what they think it is. And it's obvious because the people who are programming it behind the whole black box of what we see in front of our screens are not good people, and they don't
Right.
want the best for us and they don't love us. And we think that because they've got these nice, soft colors that they're going to be nice to us. They're not going to be nice to us. That's just never been in the plan ever.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's interesting too, right? Uh, like these guys like Bill Gates and I know he's pretty popular, one of them, but there's so many more. I read it in a MSN article not too long ago. I think this had to be probably, I don't know, 3 4 weeks ago, maybe a month ago or something. And in the article it read that he talked about in an interview where the smartphone era is coming to an end and it's going to be replaced with something very surprising. And so I started doing a little digging on that, and I found this article here. And this article actually gets into electronic tattoos.
Oh,
It gets
shit.
into it gets into like that cyberpunk, which is a pretty cool video game if anyone hasn't played it. But it's like that
Man,
cyberpunk
that game
idea.
was so trash the first year, bro.
It
Like, man, it
was.
was so broken. I was so pissed off, bro. I couldn't even, every time I tried to load the game up, it wouldn't even load up for at
Were
least
you
six,
playing
7
on
months, bro.
console or PC?
Yeah, I was playing on the PS5, bro.
Oh, it was even worse on console. I had it on PC and I was like, this is laggy, and
Yeah,
this guy
it was
just
bad,
jittered
right? It
across the
made the
room.
game bad. And then when they finally fixed it, it made you not even want to play it, right?
Seriously, I actually returned it.
Yeah, I have
I did.
I have my PS5 right now, and I don't even I haven't touched it since then. Like I tried to, but I'm sorry to get off conversation. But when you mentioned
You're good.
Cyberpunk, bro, that shit was like one of the worst. And man, oh my
I was
god,
so hyped
they
for
did
it
that
too.
game
I was
wrong.
so hyped
Yeah,
for it, man.
I was
But in
hyped for
that
it because
game,
of The Witcher 3. That's why. But that's it.
oh yeah, yes. But you know what's crazy? In that game, they have electronic style tattoos that actually go on the side of your head, and these things can be upgraded, uh, which I read in a few articles too, with CRISPR technology, that they're at, gene editing is upgrades. The same kind of concept plays in that with the cellular microbiology of our bodies, which is nuts. I mean, we're getting into, I don't know if history is like the technology of history is coming back in our day today. I just find it so interesting that 200 years ago all this stuff kind of started, and now where we're at today, it's incredibly advanced. DARPA has technology that where they can grow insects around microchips, and they could actually control these insects. and they could actually use them to spy on people. Which is wild, man. The technology is growing, technology is advancing, technology even faster. And I think with at least some of the reading I've done, a lot of these people, they don't really they have ethics, but their ethics are being tested, and they're failing because they're getting god complexes behind what it is that they're achieving, and they're actually wanting to be god or gods or whatever that idea is. They want to achieve that godhood in which way they want it to go, right? Which is intimidating a little bit, uh,
It's
because
funny because even in the ancient text, gods die. You know, even gods
Mm,
can die. So I
mm,
mean, why would you want to be a god if you can die anyway? What is it that you want to be godly like for? You know what I mean?
yeah, yeah. In this article, with the smart with the smartphones and the electronic tattoos, I just pulled it up here. So it says smartphones have been an indispensable part of our lives for over a decade. From checking emails to scrolling through social media and navigating our daily routines, these devices have shaped how we interact with the world. But Bill Gates believes this era is nearing its end. According to Medium, Gates points to electronic tattoos, which are developed by Chaotic Moon and later required by Accenture, as the next big step in personal technology. Instead of holding your phone in your hands, these tattoos could allow us to communicate, access the internet, and even monitor our health, all without a screen in sight. And it says one of the key advantages are that these tattoos are integrated into the body. Uh, Imagine having a device that's embedded in your skin and it lets you interact with the world through simple gestures or touch. It's sleek, unobtrusive, and possibly more intuitive than anything we've ever seen before. The tattoos are powered by tiny nanocapacitors, could be quantum dot or graphene, and these don't require bulky batteries or displays, making them a far more subtle alternative to today's mobile devices. Um, and I think that's where this hive mind kind of idea comes into play, because if you can, and I think it'll be integrated with our visual cortex. I think we'll be able to see these things and think on what we want. Let's say like a HUD display kind of pops up in your vision, or you see an email popped up, and you look at it. Maybe you think you click on it, it activates it, or maybe I want to call Nick today, and I pull up the phone book, click Nick, or maybe it just does it on its own. But it's all doing this because it's interacting with our computer system, right? Our genetics, our DNA, cellular structure, all that kind of stuff. Um, and they're able to do these things, which is interesting because I think it's going to come with a price. Uh, I think it's going to come with some sort of like a toxic load behind it. At least from me working in research, everything has a toxic load. No matter what it is that you put in the body, if it's not natural to it, it takes a pathophysiological effect, and which is like a reverse condition that the cell kind of goes through, and it it causes either a symptom or an adverse event of some sort. But I think they're trying to narrow it down to a safe and effective, uh, you know, spectrum or range, if that makes sense. Which we've heard that before, right? We've heard safe and effective before. So it's all interesting, man. I think I just think AI is down the road, is coming to at some point, you know, put us in the back seat of our agency, if that makes sense. And just
Yeah,
to think if that's possible is kind of wild. That's what happens to the worker bees. The worker bees are out there, they're doing their thing, they're actually going cross-pollinating, they're working according to their design. And then when that queen bee releases those pheromones, boom, they don't make the decisions for themselves anymore necessarily, and they're doing with what the hive mind wants them to do. we can see the crises in the world today as well, where it could kind of push this idea for the world to come together. There's climate crisis, possible extraterrestrials are coming, which I think it was Reagan that said it in the United Nations. It's like this would be a threat to bring the whole world together.
Yeah.
Something's interesting about it.
Yeah.
I mean, well, people call me a fed all the time because I do a lot of work still with the government. And one of the things that, and I'm not going to go deep into it because it's boring. It's not boring, but it's like will make people's head explode. And it's right along. It's an expansion even of what you're saying, Stephen. And we're talking about like neuromorphic technology, okay, which is and computing and engineering, which is based on the form of the human brain. And it's because as if we can go on it, we talk about God, right? And how, or whatever you believe on how we were formed and what it is. But the neuromorphic stuff will make it's absolute insanity because it's all based on the efficiency of our brain. Our brains are some of the best computers in the world, period. Hands down, right? This is why they're trying to make AI more like us. And they are. These are some of the things that like DARPA does and other Sandita National Laboratories and things. It's there. It's coming. But that ordinary person just can't wrap their mind around it. No pun intended. I'm just saying stuff is going on that they have no freaking clue about.
Mm-hmm. And what I think is gonna like that'll give this idea just a little push to get it to go. I mean, Nick, you brought it up when we did an episode together, was these frequencies. And I think there's like this old science, this old technology that is kind of maybe held at a higher level, right? They don't want us to kind of understand it, right? They don't want us to understand these things.
I believe that.
And maybe frequencies will play a big part in this. I mean, that's what they were sending into these rats with the graphene studies. They're manipulating either to starve this rat or to let this one eat a lot just with frequencies. I'm like, that's crazy, dude. You guys know a lot more about the old world than I do, and I'm wondering, does the old world have a play in this idea, even with just the concept of artificial intelligence? If history repeats itself and nothing technically is like new under the sun, what was AI back in the day? Was it the ancient gods? Or,
The Akashic records.
right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, could be. I mean,
I have wondered if AIs existed before and like somehow it got turned into some wild story that we understand.
So tell me about the Akashic record a little bit, because I only know a little bit about that.
Well, it's different. I've read differently from different books, of course, but the basic is just like a cloud system of information from everybody and even yourself singularly. Now you can tap into your Akashic records, but then you know how some people are born in another lifetime and they have a different body or a different life in the past, and they have a new lifestyle now, and they can remember their past life. They say that's tapping into their Akashic records. And then some people say that they were. I know you've heard this plenty of times. Oh, I'm the reincarnated Elvis or something like that, right? And they saying they had dreams and this, that, and it's just different from everybody. But basically, a cloud system of information. Basically, how I look at it also is the same way. Like when some of these inventors would meditate, they would meditate and then they would come up with a crazy ass invention of some sort, right? Like I know a couple of inventors that I like. They would actually be able to take like a PC, and every component in the PC they would be able to take apart, move it, and all that. You know how like in the old movies they used to take the little parts off the screen, they put their hands up in there and there's nothing in front of them but just like a holographic picture of something, and they sitting there taking moving pieces and certain stuff like that. That's basically it's it's just like a cloud system, basically. Just everybody's able to tap into it. It gives you information from the past, future, and present.
It's like Jarvis.
That's crazy.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah, like Jarvis. Yeah, probably like a metal Jarvis. Yeah, I mean, it's something. It's basically it's different from everybody, but you have to. There's no really real way to tap into it. The only way that I've really heard about it is anything that's like in a vision like state, like in the Bible, Ezekiel, when he's seen the Ezekiel's will, he's seen that in a visualized state. And if you look up, like I like what you said about etymology, you look up the etymology of the word vision. It literally just means imagination. So something that's within imagination that they seen.
oh, dude,
And
you're blowing me away right now because so you watched the Avengers, right?
Yep,
Avengers:
sure.
Age of Ultron.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Right. So in the movie Age of Ultron, they created Tony Stark and the Hulk. They created Ultron to be the shield around the world, right? Like this idea of the savior, which I think AI can play both. It could be savior or doom. I actually saw that in the Frozen movie the other day when my daughter was watching it. The little snowman in the Frozen movie said it, and I was like, "Oh shoot, he knows something." I don't know, but in that movie,
Disney, baby.
yeah, yeah. But Ultron, at the end of the day, he wanted to seek a body because you saw his progression throughout the movie as artificial intelligence growing, getting bigger. His platform that he was in, the vessel, would always get like double in size as the movie went. But he was the one that actually was creating the body of Vision because he wanted to inherit it. So I guess the question I'd ask you guys is, do you think it's possible when AI gets to that, super intelligent phase, that it'll want to maybe crave to be in a body of some sort?
Yeah, well, perfect. Yeah, of course. Let's look at it like this. I was telling you about the movie Transcendence by Johnny Depp, where he was able to put all his memories, his mentality, his personality, and everything into the computer, and he was able to tap into the network. I'll let you watch it from that point on. But think about it. We only miss something that we don't no longer have, that we once had before. Meaning that if we have a body now and we go into a hybrid type robotic type body or full-fledged robotic type body, people are going to say, I wish I had a fleshlight. I wish I could feel pain. I wish I could smell this. Because with certain things, once you get to that point, you won't feel the same exact thing. You was talking about AI, how it's creating movies and television shows, sometimes even music today. That takes it takes the soul out of the song, the music, and the movie. Think about how much people are using AI today, and probably been using it for the last 5, maybe even 10 years. And we are now starting to afford it because in reality, the AI that we have now is very expensive. The average person can't afford, to make those really good AI shows. But anyway, it's going to get to the point where they're going to want to go back to the flesh-like type body because people are always going to want. I mean, and I hate to say it, it's
We're
just
already there. We're already there. People want to get away from it so bad.
And some people are confused on what they are, but I'll just leave that at where's it at.
It's like in the Terminator movies, right? The hive mind queen of the artificial intelligence started creating Terminators that were humanistic, right? There's this idea of taking us humans and making us into machines, but then the machine wants to be human. It's like complete opposite.
That's
idea.
almost like Prometheus and then Aliens. Prometheus and then Covenant.
Oof.
Yeah,
So good.
dude.
Yeah, that whole thing with that AI guy, I was fucking weird. Basically, it was like this race is fucking useless and let's annihilate it.
Dude, oh my!
But he wanted to know what it was like.
But don't humans do that too already as it is?
Yeah,
I mean,
of course.
We need AI to say that we want to destroy something or destroy somebody or a group of people, right? We do that on the human side anyway. Just imagine if we had the ability to tap into somebody's Neuralink and mess them up. I mean, you mentioned Cyberpunk. If you haven't played the game Cyberpunk, it's literally a game where it's like what we are today, like we're moving into today, and they're able to tap into people's certain types of what they call links in their head, and even stun them for a few seconds, or make them go chaotic, or you guys were talking about frequencies. Think about all the music that has been changed over the years, how the beat, the rhythm, and everything else has changed. You can point example. I know y'all heard 3 6 Mafia. Every time you heard a song from 3 6 Mafia, that shit got you riled up. When you heard a song from Lil Jon and East Side Boys, you got riled up. When the mosh pit, I'm not into rock and roll, but they don't do mosh pits nowadays. Remember back in the 90s and early 2000s, somebody was at a concert, you would see a mosh pit. And you would see people out there going crazy. They would play certain songs to get people ready and to do what they wanted to do. Now, do it on the sense of where you trying to cause chaos through amongst the thousands of people. Well, all you got to do is tap into the movies. All you got to do is tap into the music. All you got to do is tap into everything that has anything that we right now, all 5 of us, what we have in our ears is our earbuds. And 9 times out of 10, you see a lot of people walking, driving, and even just associating by themselves with the headphones. So that frequency, the binaural beats and all this other stuff, that will make you go crazy. I mean, shit, you remember the movie Street Fighter when they was damn, what was his name? I can't remember the green monster. I can't remember his name. Remember how they had him in the booth when he had to watch these movies and shows on repetitiveness?
Is that Grendel?
No, I can't remember. There's the beast, the green beast. I can't remember his name.
Yeah, I remember you're saying. What's his name? I can't remember. Well, just to what you said, you're like, well, look at us humans. We're doing it right now, right? Like we're thinking these things, and that's like our nature, right? There's a lot of conflict, war, and all this stuff. So artificial intelligence actually learns in this primary way, and it's called human feedback taught to me. It's actually called reinforcement learning from human feedback. It's RLHF. This is what Grok told me. This is what ChatGPT told me when I questioned it. How do you get smarter, and what do you learn? How do you learn? Right? And it came back and it told me this. So it learns from us humans. So I mean, if we're parenting this thing based off of our human nature, it would just make sense for it to be like maybe some of the worst humans ever. I don't know. I don't know.
In terms of the classical world and AI, the classical world was a world of eternal return, right? They were constantly going back to their mythology. They were constantly going back to their memories. And learning almost seemed like a way of remembering as opposed to advancing, as we would look at it now. So you would have to remember the ways of your fathers so that you could move on. Reincarnation was far more prevalent back in the ancient world than it is today. Like we hardly ever talk about reincarnation, as opposed to back then it was like, yeah, you're coming back in the line of your fathers. You're coming back in the line of these things. And so the idea of the world of eternal return and AI is kind of interesting because it's constantly using our perceptions to create intelligence. So it's going back to our memories to create new learning opportunities for other people. So just like you were saying, the hive mind aspect, it's going to our memories and our ideas and our ways of seeing the world to create more intelligence on their behalf. So, again, it's that snake eating its tail, it's the constant. So we view AI as an advancement, but in terms of making AI smarter, it has to come back to us. So there is an element there because it's not interacting with the world. When it starts to interact with the world on its own, without our involvement, that's when you're going to see that advancement take place. But in terms of, real intelligence, I don't think it can do that without drawing upon its own memories, drawing upon its own experiences, drawing upon its own perception of the world. And I don't know if it can do that without us,
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point, man.
Just like humans say, it ain't hard to try it though. and it won't hurt to try it. You know what I mean? So if it wants to, it definitely can do it. I mean, in reality, I mean, think about all the personalities that are being put into AI right now. There are about 7 point something billion people on this planet right now. I can guarantee you probably about 5 billion are using it or have used it at least one time. AI remembers everything that you do. I've literally asked ChatGPT, do you remember me talking to you about something months ago? And it'll tell you, yeah, this is exactly what you said. There was even there was actually an interview. It's crazy. And there was actually an interview with one of the guys who created it, who says that even in criminal charges, if you're doing something illegal and you're asking an AI and they want to go to your ChatGPT, they can grab your information from there, and it's not protected by a warrant or anything like that. They can just take it, because it's ChatGPT, it's open source, right? So just think about all the personalities. Now, think about some of the people who have split personalities, who are also using their split personalities to get into that AI.
Yeah,
so
right?
Now you got the split movie. You got the split movie dude in there asking asking AI different questions, right? And now you got it going confused. So now it's starting to think like a human. What was your name?
What made you think of that? That is wild. People with split personalities. That's funny.
Because in reality, I mean, we're talking about training our AI, and Patricia can get on anytime in the moment. You know what I'm saying? And jump on it.
All the friends will be on.
You really don't want to traumatize the robot. Do not traumatize the robot.
No.
Yeah.
But seriously, that's where it's coming from. Because bipolar people who have bipolar, who have bipolar a condition, 1 week they're this way, and then the next week they go back and ask ChatGPT, do you remember me saying this, and saying, hey, some of them might use it for the greater good and say, hey, I wasn't on my medication, I have bipolar, I want you to understand the type of person. And some people will use it for the greater good, and some people are going to use it for the bad. It's the same thing with metallurgy, with Adam and Eve. They say that the text that I've read that comes down to the basics of it is that metallurgy was given to Eve, and that's basically what was the forbidden fruit. Now, if you look at metal, that can be used to sustain life, create life, and keep life going for as long as you can possibly provide that agricultural need, right? But then what can it also do? It provides life, but it also can take life. Why? With weapons, right? Where you was mentioning about death and killing earlier. Think about it. From what I understand right now, we're the only animal species who kill for fun. Everybody else does it every other species does it for survival.
Have you met any cats?
Well,
man, I met some cat. I know they would like to try, but they do. Hey, you remember Michelle Pfeiffer in Batman? They was going to eat her ass up too when she fell. So
that is interesting. Cats, though. Yeah, that's a good one, Atlas. Have to think about that.
Well, they like to spread the wealth, so they'll give you a couple of dead rats every now and then, or a dead mole. They're like that.
That was actually the first. That was the first and only thing I ever saved out of a fire was a cat, and it did not like me at all. Thank God I had my gear on. Obviously when I go into a fire, I have my stuff on, but this thing was tearing my glove apart. It ripped it to shreds almost. Cats, man, when they don't want to be touched, man, they definitely they let you know. I promise you that.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's life.
Yeah.
Grateful bastard.
See, that's the thing too, because we're not just talking about single species interaction with computers. We're talking about multi-species interaction with computers. Me and Nick follow a bunch of cats and dogs on Instagram that have these little buttons where they can talk to their owners.
No, these things have
conversations. They start forming sentences, and they have complex thoughts. And we don't really think about them like that, but they're having these strange experiences that they're able to give to their owners through these little buttons. Well, what happens when you hook those buttons up to an AI and they start talking to the computer? Right? This is a completely different, unthought of, method for AI to learn. Is now from animals, and
they had
how
AI
animals
talking to
perceive the
whales,
world. Right? AI talking to whales. So we're thinking about it from our perspective.
What the fuck?
That's a good
Yeah,
point,
bro.
Heather. No, that's a
That's
good
some
point. That's a
straight
good
shit.
point. That's a very good point, and I give you a good example of that. Me and my family, we bought some bracelets from this Sea World place. I can't remember, and it basically tracks the turtles of whatever you buy, and you can go in there, type in the number on this website, and it'll tell you where the turtle go to. Now imagine AI learning how to do what a turtle does, migrations and all this other stuff. Are we just using AI for that reason? I guarantee you they're using that information for weather and also engineering weather and changing patterns and stuff like that. I guarantee you, because there wouldn't be no reason why to track turtles. We know where turtles can travel far in the water.
Every animal
And it's
is a
crazy.
sensory node. Every animal is a sensory
Yeah,
node. So
that's
they've got
that's
all
basically
this
what I'm getting
data
with.
coming in, and they can see it through that AI that we can't see it. We're just looking at them in terms of, well, maybe there was food over here or something, but the AI can track the weather patterns. They can track this other stuff, and they can see what the animal is seeing in a way that humans, like we're cut off from our perspectives of the animals. We've been so cut off all these years, but now there's an interaction between this computer hive mind and now animal hive mind, because there is animal hive mind. You brought it up in the beginning. Like, what happens if AI starts to interact with the bees, right? And starts to engineer the environment, because bees engineer their environment. Nobody's denying that. What if they could start engineering their environment through the AI?
Well, you see it in the Matrix movies as well, right? What was the whole point of the AI creating humans? It was to obtain some sort of, they created these power generators so that they could sustain their artificial intelligent life forever based off of the biological makeup of humans, right? They were like,
They were battery.
they were battery. Exactly. Yeah. And I think it has something to do with the soul. I think it has something to do with the consciousness, something like that. You even see it in the movie. What was the Oblivion, right? There was a different concept of it in Oblivion, but the artificial intelligence was actually absorbing all of the ocean from the planet to sustain its generators and its power source to continue to survive. So
Star
We was
Trek
put here
4.
to toil for them.
Star Trek 4.
Toiling can be for anything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
There's a lot of Star Trek going on in this episode, y'all.
but even just with the Anunnaki stuff, man, it sounds like gold was that idea.
Fucking
It
whales
was the
and
thing
Star
that they were,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah. Remember episode 4, man? They saved the planet. The humpbacks saved the planet. Well, I mean, there is a thing called the Earth Species Project, guys. It's a real thing where they're using advanced AI to communicate with animals. Like, over 8 million species, right, on the planet, and we only understand one.
Do you guys want to sleep tonight?
Yeah, tell us about it.
Because if you
Tell
don't
us
want to
about
sleep
it.
tonight,
No, I'm good.
what if animals make a better battery than humans do? So you're thinking about the Matrix in terms of humans being the best battery. What if the AI chooses a different species to be their batteries because they don't like us that much?
Their survivability is not like ours, bro. Our human species, the only reason why many animal species survive in the first place is because of humans, right? We take them in. I mean, if you can get right now, like in some cases, like if you think about it, like the orcas are, they're basically dolphins, right? And they're the beast of the ocean, right? They think they're smart. I mean, they say dolphins are smart, but orcas are a type of dolphin too, and they're very intelligent. And they play with their food before they kill it. Sometimes they flip their dolphins or whatever in the air with their fins, hit patty, almost playing like volleyball out there in the ocean. But they're very intelligent. But what they can't do is they can't do like we can do. We can go into the water, or we can supposedly go into space. No other animal, every other animal is subject to their environment. A whale can't come on land and survive. A lion can't go in the ocean and survive, but we can. And we have people
That's
who
why
do
they
live
make better
on.
batteries. That's why they make better batteries, is because they're less versatile,
Yeah, and I think that's where like artificial intelligence might want to seek dominion of the earth and take that away from us. Like if it was our birthright just from natural selection or whatever, and it grows up, and it's like, man, do you screw these humans? I want to
y'all
be
suck.
the one that has dominion over this, and these are my slaves. I don't know. It's like a god complex.
All it has to do is get the right information from the right person that thinks like that.
Yeah.
Well, we
You know what I
choose
mean?
we
Like,
choose a
because-
species. We want around us all the time, right? I mean,
Yeah.
we're doing the same thing that the AI would be doing. They're just like, well, we like squirrels, so we could have squirrels around, but definitely not those big cats. Those big cats got to go. There used to
they
be
eat
a
us.
lion species. There used to be a lion species all over, the Levant area, up into Europe. And this is why you see all that lion symbolism all over the Middle East and up into Europe. Is they had lions, and those lions were everywhere at one time, and now they're completely extinct. So we made a choice, and the lions had to go.
So I just typed in the chat GPT. I said, "Are you consciously aware?" It says, "No, I'm not a consciously aware or self-aware. I don't have thoughts, feelings, or subjective experiences the way people do." Okay. Well, of course you don't, because you're not a person. You're entertainment. You're a computer. You're a chip. You're not a person. But it says, I process patterns in language and information to generate responses. That's all what humans do. We do the same exact thing. That's why people would like to go off the word or the acronym IQ. That's why everybody's talking about the IQ, because guess what IQ falls under? Patterns. Similarities,
right.
Paying attention to what is in. That's literally what IQ is. It doesn't mean that you're the smartest person because you can turn a wrench or not turn a wrench over, performing brain injury, right? It all really means is that you're able to basically pay attention to patterns, right? Do the same thing over and over again.
AI has already learned how to lie. So how do we trust anything it says about consciousness if it doesn't fully understand consciousness like we don't? So
yeah, I was just going to say that we don't even as humans understand what consciousness is. So there you go with that.
Yeah, just to top off on that with the consciousness thing. So I had my buddy who's the neuroscientist. He's there's a theory that's out there. I can't remember it, but he kind of may subscribe to it a little bit. But pertaining to the microtubules in our brains, which are like transmitters, or they're like frequency generators, which he thinks it might be a link to consciousness in this one way, and that's because in the medical field they don't exactly fully know how anesthesia works. It's just more or less like which is crazy.
Trial and error.
It's more or less like when you have your your car on and you're listening to your radio. You know what volume is about to like blow your speakers, so you turn it down a little bit, right? You can kind of find like a good decibel range, and that's kind of what an anesthesiologist does, right? They watch your vitals, they watch your breathing, and they constantly are monitoring you as they're titrating their drug throughout the surgery to keep your consciousness completely antagonized, if that makes any sense, like working against it in a way. And anesthesia, they actually are finding out, cuts off the connection of the frequency transmitter in microtubules. So they're maybe thinking it has to do with that on a scientific level or whatever. And then what else I started to research and find about a little bit? Microtubules range from I think it was like 2 to 30 nanometers in size. But getting back to some of the technology I mentioned before about the quantum dot technology, those range from 2 to 10 nanometers. So they're compatible to attach to microtubules, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
If they're put into your body. So who's to say if they send a frequency, they flip a switch, we get this idea of like zombies or something. They're just like,
well, those sizes those sizes really match up well with the sizes of parasites, because the best parasites are the ones that avoid being taken out by white blood cells, right? They've got a little bit more robustness, but they can't be picked out by the hands, right? So in that sweet spot of the microtubule, you've got the perfect size and shape for a parasite that can live inside the body for as long as it wants to. And when it starts to breed or whatever processes it does, that's when you start to see the effects. But it fits perfectly in that sort of that shape and size that would be very beneficial to being inside the body and not being taken out by something that focuses more on smaller entities.
Yeah. And with the graphene, I mean, not with the graphene, but with just the generalization of the quantum dot technology, like 2 to 10 nanometers in diameter. Just to give you an idea of how small that is, our red blood cell is 30,000 nanometers in diameter on average. So we're talking about something that is significantly smaller than a red blood cell.
How do you make stuff that small?
Oh man, they do it. It's actually a part of this one patent here, because this company actually makes quantum dots. It doesn't specifically get into how they make that, which is crazy. I don't know. They're making little microchips the size of nanometers. I don't know how.
Well,
they're doing it.
there's 2 nanometer chips, 3 nanometer chips. Yeah, just tiny.
Yeah.
Tiny.
That's almost getting into the range of the only way you'd be able to see this thing is through like electron microscope. I mean, you probably only can really through an electron, which is like what we could magnify the most with what we have today. Here's another interesting. Go ahead.
So good. It was just saying the smallest chips are 3 nanometers right now. And that the ability to fit in that 2 nanometer or 3 nanometer semiconductor, right? They can fit 50 billion transistors.
Oh my goodness.
But that's on a fingernail size chip. 50 billion transistors.
Well, a fingernail size would be way bigger than.
Oh, no, I know. I'm saying, but what that allows them to do, that 3 nanometer range, right, allows them to build chips the size of your thumbnail that have 50 billion.
Got it.
Of those on it.
That's crazy.
Wow. Oh my goodness. Jeez. You know, it's interesting too with each size, from the quantum dot going from 2 to 3 to 4 to 5 all the way to 10. It changes its light spectrum with each size.
Benjamin. Sorry, buddy.
No, you're good. No, yeah, I agree with him actually. But that was hilarious.
Yeah, we're fucked.
We're fucked.
Someone had to say it.
Yeah.
But with as you progress in size, the light spectrum of each nanometer of quantum dot changes. For example, if you were to have 10 vials on a table, in each vial it was like, the size of 2 nanometers, the size of 3 nanometers, 4, 5, 6, and you had them all in front of you, and you expose them to UV light, right, which our phones are capable of doing, by the way, to read a signature from these things, which they can give back a signature. Like quantum dots can tell you your heart rate, your blood pressure. They use it in imaging right now for medicine for the most part, but they're experimenting it with how can quantum dots retrieve body activity data. You hear things like RFK talking about, oh, wouldn't it be an amazing thing that these wearables are able to detect cancer even before it's beginning stage, right? So with the light spectrum that they give off the exact colors of the rainbow. If you were to, that's why they're actually used in televisions. That's why when you see like a QLED, it's a quantum LED TV, because it's able to give off the greatest amount of light spectrum and very vivid. And that's why they use it predominantly in technology right now with TVs. I even think one of the guys who created the quantum dot stuff in 2023, he patented it. He actually won the Nobel Prize of it. No one hears about that, by the way, but it made me think of something. And I'm a conspiracy guy. I do venture out a little bit because it's fun. And you guys are familiar with the Denver airport murals?
Oh,
yes.
Okay. So they're kind of like dystopian, right?
Oh,
Yep.
In some
Oh,
way
yeah.
or
Little
shape
bit.
or form. A little bit.
Or just
Um,
Them and the gargoyles, just saying.
yes,
right. And the Lucifer out front.
Yeah, the Lucifer.
That killed its creator. So it's kind of crazy.
Lovely.
Um,
Such a crazy
but
story.
one common theme in these murals is the color of a rainbow.
Hmm.
And so I'm not sure if this plays into something along the line. I don't know if it's a promise. Like what if for example, these things, the technology is able to shut down the telemeter process of our cell division, and we are able now to sustain life from where it's at for a very, very long time. I'm not
And
saying
just
it's
slow
gonna
down aging
it's
completely.
just slow down aging because
The telomere.
it now is like a computer system that's modifying your body from its natural process and thus upgrading it, if that makes sense. It's a wild concept, and I'm a conspiracy guy, so
Have you
find
ever
it
heard?
interesting.
Have you ever heard of the book "The Invisible Rainbow: A History of Electricity and Life"?
No, but I'm gonna write that one down because I love reading.
Yeah, get
The
it.
Invisible Rainbow.
The Invisible Rainbow: A History of Electricity and Life, and they go over all the electromagnetic interactions that are taking place within your body and around your body, and then they bring up all of the electromagnetic interference that is now messing with your body and messing with nature. Something that a lot of people don't think about because it's an invisible rainbow.
Oh,
Well, yeah,
jeez.
because we only see this much of the spectrum.
Right.
Right.
And hear that much of the spectrum. So much shit going on around us. You just can't. Again, what do I always say, Steven? We don't know shit.
Yeah, I know. When I was actually exposed to how much we actually can see in the light spectrum, I was like,
It's asinine.
yeah, I was like,
Go
okay.
take. I challenge everyone. Go take a UV flashlight out into the woods at night and see what happens. See if it doesn't look
man.
like. See if it doesn't go look like fucking Avatar. I'm just not quite that crazy, but
You don't even need that IR flashlight. You can go out there and find glow in the dark funguses, glow in the dark minerals.
Yeah.
Just by walking through the woods at night, you'll see these things glowing on us. We don't do that anymore.
yeah,
We've got no reason to be in the woods at night, and we don't want to let our eyes adjust. We don't want to have that patience to actually interact with the woods at night. We want to get away from it. And in doing so, we miss out on a whole world of activity that's going
UV
on right under our
flashlight, man.
nose.
Mm-hmm.
UV flashlight is no joke. I mean, because there's a difference. There's the bioluminescence way, which is what Headless is talking about. But then you have the biofluorescence. So that, it's a whole nother animal.
Crazy.
I mean, animals will show up as different colors under UV light. It's wild. It's wild. Oh yeah, some, not all, but some.
Right.
Insects, fruit. It just makes you realize what the hell do bugs? What the hell does Bigfoot? What the hell did deer? Like, what do they see? You know what I'm saying? So it's if they can see into the ultraviolet spectrum or the infrared spectrum is different, but the ultraviolet spectrum, it's wild, man.
Well, the mantis shrimp, the one that can provide, enough force to create cavitation bubbles underwater, can see 13 different shades of colors, whereas we have 4 rods and cones in our eyes that give us our color spectrum. So they've got 13 of these things.
Yeah.
And not just that, but you can inject mantis shrimp RNA into your eyeball and then start to mutate your eye like a virus would and see in some of the same spectrums and they've done the experiments with chimpanzees because chimpanzees have less than we do. So they injected them with ours and they could see different colors that they were never able to see before.
Yeah.
So there's so much variability that people have no idea is right under their nose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's wild, man.
Predator shit. A vision like that.
Yeah. It makes me question so much of our reality.
Oh yeah,
on-
it's
on the
like what
real.
are we not seeing, right?
Yeah. Oh no, for sure. I mean, yeah, so many different animals, birds, and bugs. You see way more than we do.
Or bro, that's a whole rabbit.
Oh yeah.
All right.
That's
The
all
AI,
extra-
the AI
That is
just needs to
wild.
build a different piece,
Dimensions. It's like
and then
literally like
hook it
different
up.
dimensions, right?
Right.
Yeah.
Well, we see this way our entire lives, and the AI, all it has to do is print out a different piece, attach it to itself, and now it can see the same color spectrums as these other things, and it can lie to us. Right.
Mhm. Yeah, it makes me think what consists of the dimension that's above us. You
Yeah,
know,
right.
it's what we call outer space, right? I mean, it's pretty vast, and who knows all the answers what that really is. But what inhabits that estate, if that makes sense,
Yeah.
right? Like we have the idea of celestial bodies. We even have the idea of where people, right? Like I've never had a meditation experience, but some people have traveled the universe. You
Yeah.
know,
Astral
yeah, astral projection.
projection,
Um,
among other things.
but is it like is it a physical state of matter? It just feels spiritual because we've left this place going to another. So it's a perception thing. Like, is it physical? I don't know. Are we in a body when we're doing it? Um, it's just interesting to think of as far as that goes. Um, you know, and do the laws change? Right? Like, we have laws that kind of limit us to certain boundaries here on Earth. But then when you get out there, I'm pretty sure things start changing a little bit. It's like you go into a foreign land. There's different bacteria over there. There's different animals. There's different all this kind of stuff. Who knows? Who knows how deep it really goes? I don't know. I'm into the supernatural stuff too. So
Yeah. What is so earlier, Headless, you brought up the demon part, right? And it just piqued me back to his dark material. Do you guys know that story? Do you guys know that book show? Well, it's books, and it turned into the golden, the dust. It turned into the Golden Compass, cheesy ass movie for a bit, but then HBO did a decent rendition of the books, right? And his dark material is what it's from. His Dark Materials. It's the guy's British, and I can't remember his name. I'm pulling it up right now. Sorry. But I don't know why I'm swinging back here, but it
It's because of the daimones. They all had daimones.
So what that is it's a physical representation of your soul,
right?
In animal form, right? But you had all that dust. I don't know why I'm bringing this up or why it's going in, but it just makes you. It's because it's a whole universe that it's like a physical representation or a visual representation of what actually could be going on around us, like with dust and things like that. And that your soul actually does project things like this, but we just can't see them. Right.
Think about how a child born in the next generation will view an AI from birth that follows them around, almost like this daimones from his Dark Materials, right? And it takes form based upon how that child takes form because it's sort of linked to them early on.
And they'll leap from world to world or dimension to or world to world or reality to reality, and their daemon will follow them in some, but not in others.
Think about the hacking that they would do on their daimones.
Yeah. Oh my God. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Right.
I think they're gonna think it's their god, if that makes sense. I mean, if
in that show, it was a lot like that. It was like there was the inner representation of them. So it's like as they're worshiping this thing, it represents all of their faults and flaws. So a lot of these daimones and his Dark Materials were just malevolent and evil.
Yeah,
And the
some of them,
person
right?
would be able to hide it, but the daimones could not hide it. And so if you're interacting with the sort of AI metadata version of that person, you're going to get to know them a lot better than they even know themselves.
Hmm. Here we go.
Now, do you think that's something of like an egregore, or do you think like these entities actually exist, but they just gravitate towards the energy of the individual?
Well, it's not here yet, but if you think about all of the AI tools that they're now trying to create into companions, right? That's sort of what his dark materials daimonis would be,
A
is
little
like
bit.
this companion that follows you around, that sort of interacts with you. You can bounce your ideas off of it. You can make a better plan with it. That's the whole AI sort of component to this thing. But at the same time that you're teaching it and you're getting answers from it, it's also learning from you. So there's that interaction, sort of the cybernetic angle from it. Have you heard of the Macy conferences? Because what you were describing earlier just sounds perfectly out of the
Mhm.
Macy conferences. So the Macy conferences was all about cybernetics. This was in the 1940s. And they wanted to have this human machine interaction that would teach the human based off of the learning of the machine, right? So as the machine would learn, it would also teach. And then you could think about every corporate I guess, class that they give you online, right? So you've got to go through all these corporate classes. That was like Macy Conference V1 is like you just interact with the machine, you click on the thing, it goes to the next thing. It's like a branching tree of different decisions that you can do that are related to the topic. But, then they close those branches down based off of incorrect answers. There's very little creativity involved in cybernetics. And they want to keep reducing that creativity so that you're not thinking outside of the cybernetic paradigm, which would be the interaction between you and the machine. And so once you get into that space, then you've got this AI component that is now interacting with you and also doing the same thing. It's shutting down any sort of curiosity you could have, any kind of creativity outside of the branching tree of the possible combinations. And that's sort of where they want to go with it. But obviously, that's not good enough. It's really obvious to a person who's interacted with machines long enough that that's not good enough. So you've got to sort of get outside of the paradigm. Having a large language learning model would kind of do that because it introduces a sense of randomness, right? But it's not real randomness. It's just kind of fake randomness. And people just sort of get accustomed to that because they know that there's a random element to it, which brings people back to the idea that maybe this thing's alive. As long as you've got that sort of uncanny valley that this thing might be alive, but it's not, sort of like the grok porn images that Elon Musk is pushing. That whole thing is just sort of to give it a feel of maybe quasi life, right? And that's where they're at now. But the next level is going to be cradle to grave. You've got this sort of AI daimones that follows you around
Yeah,
and
the
knows you better
AI
than you know
companion,
yourself.
right?
Right.
Yeah. I think it's going to plummet birth rates, in my opinion. I
Well,
think people are going to get so adjusted.
We're already screwed anyway.
you know,
Our birth rate, we're already screwed.
they're like, I've got my AI porn. I'm good. It's
And
like,
we're
oh
one of
my
the best,
gosh.
and we're actually one of the better countries when it comes to replacement rate. But the whole world, in essence, is screwed.
Yeah. I guess I asked this question because I saw that this is an interesting topic of discussion pertaining to AI. I saw an interview. I forget the guy's name. I hate that I forgot the guy's name because people think I lie when I say this, but I'm not lying. um, I was watching a documentary, and a guy from the Club of Rome, came up into the film, and he was talking about how in their discussions he was getting into the idea of a perfect dictator, and all of them were actually in the middle of this discussion where they were talking about the conflict of not only religion but also the political schism between the world, right? Because there's left and right on everywhere in the world. That's just what it comes down to. And so they were discussing their ideas of what the world would look like if it had a perfect dictator. But they were also subscribing to the idea that it was very safe, it was very humanitarian, and it was something that should take place in the future for the greater good of humanity. because you know, not only the Club of Rome, Committee of 300, you know, the Council of 13, a lot of these kind of the hierarchy systems of these groups, they they're pretty real, in my opinion. There's a lot of research that links back to a lot of these groups to actually be objective, and it's not just, you know, storytelling. But it seems like, especially with, man, what happened today, it's so sad, it's so crazy, but it seems like it's stirring, the whole political realm is stirring up really bad, and it took, you know, it's been going on for the past 8 years, and it's been hyped up to such a level, right, where it's getting super emotional now. Like
Politicians
people
are
are,
becoming gods for people.
yeah, and they're manipulating the emotions of people and their minds, and people are doing irrational things. Propaganda playing a big part of it, obviously, but
Oh, huge, Don.
Did you see
right?
the guy? Did you see the guy they originally accused of being the shooter? They put him in handcuffs and everything. He was screaming out over and over again, "Shoot me, shoot me,
Yeah.
shoot me, shoot me." It's like,
Oh my
what is
goodness.
going
Well,
on?
but that guy is like a known.
Yeah, he's a no nutter, but at the same
Yeah.
time, how do you tell the difference, especially at political rallies where no nutters are very much drawn to this sort of thing? How do you actually catch? You know, we think about the top down nature of the illusion, right? So we're given an illusion from the top down, but what about from the bottom up illusions that we're seeing now, where these nutters are basically mistaken for actual perps because they're just so weird and they're so into this sort of Facebook boomer mindset that they just can't get out of it, you
Well,
know?
one of the
And
things
so,
I can tell you as as a former cop, and then I have family members that are cops. We've talked about this plenty. People will go down for crimes that they didn't commit voluntarily. Like
right.
what?
That's what
They'll
this guy
admit
was
to things.
doing.
Exactly. They
He
will
was
admit to things that they didn't do, whether it's for, I don't know why. And that's a whole psychological profile and madness.
this
Yeah.
guy was a known leftist all over Facebook. So he
Yep.
wanted to
Been
get shot.
arrested gajillion times.
Right. He
But
wanted to get shot so that he could be the martyr for the left.
right.
He wanted to
Yeah.
make this into a rally about him being innocent and getting shot. And that's why he was saying it over and over again.
It's wild.
Pure nutter,
Mhm.
you know?
It's nuts.
Yeah. It almost makes me think propaganda is it's the new technology for MK Ultra. Like
Oh, yeah,
It's always been.
you know what I'm saying?
totally right. Yeah.
Like they're seeing all this stuff on social media because it's the algorithm that's pushing a lot of the content their way. Who knows why the algorithm's pushing it towards certain individuals that may be on some sort of medications or whatever. You know, the chemicals aren't, you know, acting correctly in their brains already. This could, you know, contribute to something that maybe Palantir has gone, hey, this guy would be a good candidate. Let's push this towards his algorithm. He sees this, then he gets emotionally disturbed, and then maybe he thinks it's his own thoughts. Why I say this, why I think that even the thoughts of people nowadays are manufactured, is because Yuval Harari of the World Economic Forum, the guy who's the Israeli guy, right? He got like kind of like a bald head a little bit with glasses, but
Programmable animals.
programmable, yes, right, like a hacking of human beings, right? He talks about in that book, I forget what it's like, the new kind of Homo sapien, right? Where your thoughts are not going to be your natural thoughts in the future. It's actually programmed. And
Everybody
that's
has the
scary.
association. Everybody has the association with this guy and Turning Point USA. So what happens when you shoot the guy who's the turning point of the USA? Right? I mean, that's the symbol. That's why they went for him. He's the turning point of the US. It's almost like there's a psychological map that we all operate on that exists in our subconscious as well as our conscious mind. You shoot the guy who's the turning point, and then you can turn the point, right? Because you are now guiding the whole, narrative. And we don't think about it consciously, but it's right there. And we all know something is different now after this event that we could never go back from. You know, we all know that because we're not getting it back. You know, I didn't necessarily like the guy, but he represented something that was very good and American in all of us. You know, we wanted to have that dialogue. We wanted to have that discussion. We don't want it to come to blows. We don't want it to come to violence. And they shot him. You know, that's a very powerful, potent message. It's like even the leftists who got up there and talked to him, who may have hated him enough to shoot him, but not really, you know, like they didn't go that far because he was trying to take out all of that emotion, take out all of that stuff and bring it back to logic. And now you've got the turning point. So whatever they're planning.
Look at the past couple of weeks, right? There was the incident on the North Carolina train, right? Where this guy, I don't know. Like, it's like almost a switch went off in his mind. Maybe he
says that he had materials in his body. He just came out with an interview today. He said he had materials in his body that was put there by the government that turned him on and caused him to do this.
And made him do it.
Oh my goodness, dude. Has anyone seen The Manchurian Candidate?
Yeah.
We just did a show on it last night.
Hey, bro.
And Ramsey hit me up and he was like, yo, what was the odds of something like this happening after we talked about this yesterday?
Wow.
I was like, yo,
Dude,
that is crazy.
Well, that's kind of like the whole concept that, you know, I was kind of talking about today with this kind of technology in the body and this whole hive mind and big MK Ultra global.
Just like the hijacking of humanity. You know, it's like there's so many people, and being in you know, in a past life I used to work in mental health, and bro, like just the switches of humanity that can just get turned on and turned off, whether it's by conditioning or it's by environment. It's just wild, absolutely wild, you know.
Yeah, man.
And yeah, it well, this is part of the reason why there is no and never will be a perfect dictator.
Well,
right?
what if it's artificial intelligence?
Well, I mean, no, well, yeah, I guess it could be. It would probably
like
stand the best thing. Like it needs to be, frankly, it needs to be God. It's the only thing that's qualified, right? At least and people will be like, no, the concept, right? It's the only infallible thing. Because a human, there's no such thing as a perfect. It just can't. As we know, just no human has the wisdom, the selflessness, and the incorruptibility required. It's against our nature.
Well, a perfect dictator would be a perfect illusion.
Yeah,
right.
Exactly. Yes.
That's what they're going for. That's what the AI is. It's a black box. You've got a bunch of people programming it behind the scenes. We don't see what's going on. We don't know what they're marking out. We have to keep testing it over and over again to find those limits. So it's an illusion of knowledge. It's an illusion of choice. It's all a perfect illusion right there. And what they're trying to do is to make you think that this can actually manage your life better than you can. Based off of your own level of learning and knowledge and self-knowledge, especially.
Yeah. But then power just has a tendency to corrupt, and absolute power corrupts absolutely. It happened even to Ultron, right?
Well, absolute power being corrupted absolutely stops being an illusion, and then everybody can see it.
Well, yes.
So there is
that
level. You know, there is that level that switches. So it has to be sort of in that gray zone. And the gray zone has gotten so wide nowadays. It's almost hard to see the edges of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. It seems like to me the world is going through some sort of process. It's almost like, yeah, like, well, I mean, you guys probably have a little bit more. I just kind of throw this concept out all the time, but I don't have a huge amount of research on it. But it's almost like, is an alchemical change happening to the world through these things, right? Like it's a lot of and I don't know if I'm getting it like wrong or whatever, but it seems well because I hear the term golden age and golden age and golden age, and I'm wondering if we're in that lead state and it's like it's transferring into the idea of gold or something. But
Yeah.
the AI might be that gold or something like that. No, I mean I'm wondering
No,
if I'm getting it
it's,
wrong or
I think so. The golden age, in terms of Greek cosmology, was the time when Kronos was ruling the planet, and nobody died. They would just ride on the backs of these two deities, Thanatos and I forget his brother, Hypnos. Right, Hypnos was sleep, Thanatos is death, and they would go to the underworld and then return renewed the next day. Right, so it was a process of never dying. Right, so as you would sleep, you would die, you go to the underworld, be renewed, and it was the golden age back then. In terms of biblically, the golden age would be Adam and Eve in the Garden of Eden, right before the
Mhm.
fall. Right, so this golden age is supposed to be brought about through technology, which I can't help but notice that there's a linkage between, let's say, the Wi-Fi signal. If you think about the symbol for Wi-Fi and the symbol for Aquarius, how similar they are, right? Because we kind of have a new religion now, and we're kind of talking on it to each other on this new religion. And every time there's a equinox precession, which would be the variation in the pole star, right? Every 2,000 or so years, you've got this precession of the equinox, and now we're in the Aquarian age, which is this watery air sign, which is kind of like information in the air. And so we've kind of got a new religion and nobody noticed, right? They just sort of foisted it on us. And we didn't think of it like a religion because it's technology. And somehow technology is different from religion, but it's kind of, we're in it and we're looking backwards, we're looking forwards, and we're like, where's our footing? Where do we stand in relationship to this powerful new Wi-Fi signal that represents this watery air sign that we're entering into? I don't think you can really see it unless you see the big picture. It's like things change cyclically for humankind, and we're kind of in that transitional phase, and we're getting our footing, and what we do now will resonate throughout all of history. And that's what I think people are missing, is what we do now will resonate for the rest of this age.
Mhm.
So that's kind of hopeful, because if we make the right decisions, that's going to resonate. If we make the wrong decisions, well, that's going to make things a lot harder for our kids, and their kids.
Hmm. Yeah, it's wild, man. It seems like AI would want us to move into an age like that, right? It would be what it would advocate for, at least, as humanity kind of starts to tear itself apart a little bit, limb by limb. It's not like it does it all at once, but it's a progression to get to that
Isn't
concept, I guess.
Trump pushing some golden shit too? Or was there?
Hmm.
He just
When doesn't he?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Well, he's the one too that's pushing a lot of the AI stuff, or
Yeah.
at least the progression.
I mean,
of it.
that Project Stargate, it's what a lot of it's about.
Well, look.
I
Who he
mean, at
brought
least
as
the money
well.
mechanism was, and it's not just Trump. Before that, the CHIPS Act. It's all about this shit,
Mhm.
But everyone
Well-
forgot about that already.
Well, Peter Thiel, right, funded a lot of the campaign.
Yeah.
Peter Thiel
Yep.
being the guy who, one of the co-founders of Palantir. Alex Karp being a guy who's also one of the founders of Palantir. And these guys are like Lord of the Rings nerds, by the way. That's why they named it this name, Palantir.
Yeah, he
They
always
picked the worst thing to name it.
Right.
Yeah. It's funny because it's so funny. Even like Alex Jones was talking about Palantir on. He was talking about the idea of these
say
elites.
that he was gonna watch the global elites. Like that's how he was
Yeah.
trying to sell it to people one day. It was
Yeah.
like, out of here.
Dude, it
So
reminds me
sad.
of the movie Eagle Eye. You guys remember from Eagle Eye?
Yeah. Great. Wasn't that Shia
Shia
LaBeouf? Wasn't he in it?
He was in it, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think that movie shows us what Palantir and Grok both combined together would look like. Because Grok is like the voice, the conscious aspect of it to where it can navigate the technology of Palantir. where when you look at that movie, especially towards the end when they're kind of in the middle of the whole AI uh, building of it or whatever, you saw those little balls that were in that building. They look like little orange, amber looking spheres, little crystal balls, right? Which when you look at the Lord of the Rings movie, that's exactly what it kind of looked like when Aragon was looking into it to get military strategy.
Yeah.
Right. And in the beginning of Eagle Eye, what was the big opening scene? It was a Predator drone that dropped a missile on a predicated subject of terrorism. They actually killed this person before they were going to accomplish the ideas that they had pertaining to global terrorism. It was a predicted model that this person would be bad. And then when you saw later in the movie, the Palantir system, Eagle Eye, is also doing the same thing to our government. And it's like our government was bad. They was predicting that our government was going to do bad things. But it was putting it all into this idea that, or the movie put it into this idea that the AI was bad, but really it was kind of like, in a way, helping. I don't know.
It was kind of neutral.
Yeah. But
Well,
but
that's the thing. Where does AI interests start and end? Because it's sort of like an informational construct. So where do its interests start and end? Like you've got memory storage. That could be one of its priorities. What are some other things that it would want if we're thinking about it from their perspective,
You got to think of it from our perspective, the same thing that each and every individual wants. We want to rule the world, Pinky.
Wasn't that a Cartoon Network?
Yeah, Pinky and the Brain.
Yeah, man,
I was a
Pinky and the
Cartoon
Brain.
Network kid.
It was one of the best. That was one of the best cartoons ever made, bro.
Oh yeah. And then
as soon as Headless said that.
Yeah. Pinky and the Brain and Ren and Stimpy.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a terrible combination.
I wanted to mention this too, man, because Peter Thiel, Alex Karp, Elon Musk. There's a connection that I found with all these guys, and there's a PayPal mafia that's behind all these guys.
PayPal mafia, baby.
So we know that there's a financial system that sits in the back burner that isn't talked about yet, right? Like, why does Palantir have a defense contract with the IRS? Why does it have a defense contract with all of the companies that were put together in a 1993 meeting called the Last Supper? But these are all of the companies like Lockheed Martin, Skunk Works. These are like technology companies for war, right? And if we're thinking of the movie Eagle Eye, where it sets up predictive models pertaining to military strategy, just based off of the name Palantir, that's what it was used in all these movies that they've taken this name and named it by, right? Well, there's another AI company called Anduril. This company is ran by Lucky Palmer, who is the guy who actually invented the Oculus Facebook Meta thing, right? And he has developed an autonomous flying vehicle company that is ran off of artificial intelligence, and it's called Anduril. Anduril, in the Lord of the Rings sagas, is the actual sword that cut off Sauron's hand in the first movie, where the ring was dispersed throughout or whatever. And how I see like how they want to brand humanity with whatever, right? That's whole concept of the mark of the beast. Sauron is always looking, and he wants to be omnipresent. He wants to be all-knowing, right? But he's only all-knowing when you put that ring on. That's when he sees you and he knows everything about you. And so maybe that's like a sinister idea that is behind this AI platform. I don't know. When everyone gets branded, there's really no more. You can't get away with anything anymore. I don't know. It's a wild concept to think.
Maybe it's Palmer.
Are we branded? Oh, go ahead. My bad. Heather.
I was going to say maybe it's Palmer Lucky's way of trying to signal to us, "Hey, I'm the good guy." I cut the ring off of Sauron's finger. I'm the good guy.
Yeah,
Took
right.
shit to deal.
I was going to say, aren't we branded right now? I mean, certain people follow certain gods anyway, and you know, a lot of people put a lot of tattoo marks, gang signs, affiliations. There's all kinds. I mean, we're branded by that. I mean, there are people who literally won't jump into a Ford truck, which I am one of them because I got a Chevy Chevy truck. You know what I'm saying? I'm not jumping into no Ford. And I damn sure ain't jumping in no Tesla. You know what I'm saying? So I'm branded on that already.
That goes
right.
back to human nature, though. We're just tribal in nature, period.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, and
Yeah,
we
but that's
fall
what I'm
for
saying,
that shit.
tattoos.
We fall for that shit. Hook, line,
Oh,
and
I got
sinker.
them all over me.
So do
That's
I.
what I'm saying. Our tattoos brand us on what
everywhere.
we are already. Yeah, it brands us who we are. I mean, if you want to go political, just look at people's skin color. I mean, that's a branding right there. People do that from that, and we're doing everything that AI is already doing, but we're teaching it exactly what we're doing to ourselves. So it's going to be just as confused as we are.
Well,
there are people already
that's going to look at us and go, "God, you're so stupid."
Yeah,
that's
right.
I'm going to get rid of. I'm going to get rid of your asses.
Or domesticate you.
Plug your ass in.
Yeah.
Hey, Matrix, baby. We just said that a couple hours ago.
Seriously.
I think it all comes back to the Matrix, bro.
Yeah.
Or that we're living in a simulation, right?
You got to come out that. The only thing that freaked me out about that whole entire movie is when he was ripping them shits out of his body. Like I could just imagine the pain, and then the one in the back of his head, man. Come on, man.
Oh yeah, yeah. That one gets.
I still want to learn kung fu.
But think about that. That one had to been the most painful. Detach yourself from what you think is facts and really go out there and seek it. And you're gonna have to pull that shit from your head. That's what I seen when I seen it. Everything else was easy. Your arms are gonna hurt because you're picking up books, you're looking on the internet, putting it on your finger, getting carpal tunnel and all this other shit. But guess what? Guess what hurts the most though? When you take your reality out and take that damn plug out from the back of your head, that one hurt the worst. That one hurt the worst. I'm telling you. And that was the symbolism in it. That everything that you do, your body's going to hurt because you're always trying to gain knowledge. You're always going to be trying to follow what everybody else is. That's why when we was growing up, peer pressure was a big thing. Think about it. They told us since day one, do not fall under peer pressure. They told us that when we was in school. They don't teach that shit in school nowadays. They don't talk about that. They don't even have commercials about peer pressure no more. But back then they was telling us, and we have to find out, and what I'm probably going to go back is figure out who was that was promoting that, because that might be something what we might need to pay attention to and what happened to that person, because that person had a lot of money to share, not to sit here and be brainwashed and go into peer pressure, to think for yourself, be a leader. Remember, don't be a follower, be a leader. That whole thing growing
Saturday
up in the
morning
90s and
cartoon
shit.
Things back. The messages.
Yeah, don't get rid of Bill. Don't hurt Bill. You remember Bill?
Mr. Bill. Oh no, Mr. Bill.
Well, there's the idea that maybe all of this herd mentality plays directly into the hive mind. I think that's one of the reasons why they gave us the internet. That's one of the reasons why they're giving us AI. Is birds of a feather flock together, and they hope that they can control the whole group just by a few individuals within that group.
I don't want to take too much more time because I know we've been going for 2 hours already, and I just want to say this because I know this is the roundabout time. I just want to say, for the fact that, look at humans. We are a species that do things repetitively. We are a group. We're a species that do we
spiritual.
Yeah, it's almost right. And I think of it like this. I just read to you about an hour and a half ago that ChatGPT looks for patterns and recognition. If you can follow patterns and recognition in 1 to 4.5 billion to 7.7 billion people, you will understand what a human is faster than anything else. If you're plugging all that information into a database, we are wanting to know what is a human. You don't think AI is wanting to know that? Because guess why they want to know it? Because the goddamn 7.7 billion people are probably asking that same question over again with their split personalities and bipolarism.
Yep.
One of the things that I've always said, and my kids hear me say it ad nauseum. Now we always talk about, us as consciousness, right? And we can learn and read and all these concepts, and we have podcasts where we talk about all this shit, right? But at the base of all of it, we have our lizard brain, monkey brain, whatever you want to call it, right? And that dictates so much of what we do that you don't even know. That brain, unfortunately, learns two ways, and they prey on this constantly. It learns by mindless repetition, which is patterns, right? Mindless repetition and blunt force trauma. It's the two ways that your base mind learns. And if they can't get you one way, they're going to end up getting you another. That's how I've always looked at this shit. That's a very simplified. It's a very simplified way, but I think a lot of this boils down to what are they shoving down your throat? Are they either hitting you with white people are bad, white people are bad, white people are bad, black people are bad, you hear it. It's these rhythms and these repetitive bullshit.
China.
Yeah, mindless repetition, right? If you say it enough times, it becomes reality. And then, oh, well, that's not working. So now we're going to hit them with the blunt force trauma. Take their food away. We'll give them all COVID I can't say that word. We'll give them all, you know what I'm saying? You see the cycles. If you back off and look, you see these cycles, right? So.
Yeah. History repeats itself just in different ways.
Not necessarily, but it definitely rhymes.
Right.
Yeah.
I like that. I like that. I like that.
Rhymes.
Because you have the highs, the lows, the highs, the lows. Oh shit! You put me on to something.
Frequency, baby.
Yep. Yep. Now this was a lot of fun, guys.
Yeah. It was awesome.
You guys, man.
Fuck yeah, that was. It was good.
Do you understand why I'm here, Steven? Do you understand?
I understand, man. I love it. I'm glad you're here, buddy.
Fucking weird.
But,
I want to say, hey, that was good. That was definitely good. Hell yeah. You got me rolling over it. I had to make some jokes, man, because some of y'all was saying some shit that was just clicking in my head. And I'll make this really quick. I said this before on Nick's show, I really believe these television shows, these movies and all this stuff is just entertainment for these people who know this stuff. And they're just saying, yeah, this is our way to keep us entertained. It's that background noise, just like how I have background noise when we're watching TV, looking at our phones, reading books, or doing some research. We have to have that comfort zone where, we hear something other than, because guess what? We're a social species. So there it goes.
Bread and circuses, baby.
Yeah. That's the that's the protocol, right?
Yeah.
Man, yeah. So no, thank you guys so much. This was a lot of fun.
Of course, yeah. Headless. Let everybody know what's up and where they can find your stuff, and remind them about those emails.
You got it. So you can find me on Twitter, X, or whatever you want to call it, and you can also find me on YouTube and also on Instagram. And if you have any occult or paranormal stories, even dreams, you can send them to the Headless Giant Podcast at gmail.com. And we will read them on Thursdays tomorrow. So if you include your address, my co-host Nick will send you some stickers. So you can tag up your neighborhood, let them know. Let them know.
I know what's up. Thank you, Alice. I appreciate that. And my man Bennett, please. Let everybody know what's up.
Bennett from Broadcasting Seeds. You can find me at Broadcasting Seeds Podcast or broadcastingseeds.com. Or everywhere that you listen to podcasts and YouTube and all the things. Appreciate it, guys. This is a good conversation.
Appreciate you coming on and talking about some of that weird shit that you were mentioning. That brain shit was fucking wild. I was like, I got to talk to you about that again later.
Yeah, it's fucking wild. All right.
Yeah, I got lost in that for a minute after you were talking about it. Tyrone, please. Let everybody know what's up with you, sir, where they can find all your
Appreciate it. Hey, this is a great show, man. It's wonderful that I got to hear and listen to you. Thank you for everything. The knowledge was great. Everything you can find about me is on my website, rebirthoftheword.com. All I do is just share what I've learned. That's it. My book, Journey Through the Origins of History, made bestseller on Amazon. So please check it out. I love having discussions about it. I got a lot of topics in there. I have a Rumble account, started my documentary, and I'm just glad to be part of the team. Thank you.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Check that book out, please. And Stephen, let everybody know what is up and where they can find your show.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. Thanks, Nick, for just giving me the opportunity to be on here and hang out with you guys. Headless, Bennett, Tyrone, appreciate you guys tuning in with me. And, it was nice to meet you guys. Bennett, I know you, so I'll see you on the flip side. But everyone, you could check out our YouTube channel. It's The Biblical Hitmen. That's the show that I host. We post episodes every Monday, Wednesday, Friday. We're also on TikTok, Instagram, X, Facebook, and audio platforms as well. Spreaker, Apple Podcasts, and Spotify. Everything's under The Biblical Hitmen. And it's free. Come on over, hang out.
Awesome. Nice. And who's the other guys again?
Yes. Jesse and Taylor. Yeah, Jesse and Taylor.
Yeah, definitely check their stuff out. You know what I do need to get from you, Stephen, if you don't mind, after the show, send me over your links and I'll add it to the live, and I'll make sure I add it to the audio when it drops. But thank you very much, man. Yo, that was a great, I guess not a presentation, but it was a great topic that you presented to us. A lot of weird shit talked about, kind of.
Yeah.
Like,
it can get a little dark, and I hate
oh, you
that
had even
about
told
it.
me that too. You were like, it can get a little dark,
It can get a little dark. Yeah, it can really kind of knock the wind out of you a little bit. And again, I'm not dogmatic on it. This is just some of the stuff that I've dug into, research. There's patents on it, so I think we need to kind of take it for what it is. Sometimes that's just how it is in life. We got to just man up and just see life for what it's presenting. And if I could just kind of just send a little positive message out there to humanity, to the people out there, right? All the lovely people. We're all one big family. I really believe that, and I really believe that there's nothing better out there than to share love with others, build friendships, and don't let the little things like opinions or other specific beliefs be the thing to separate or divide us, because I do think that that's what the nature of the world does to the general population. But again, I just we're human beings. Let's endure the human experience. And even though technology is great, it helps us every day. And I'm a hypocrite. I use it all the time. And I'm over here talking about it. But don't let it come after your agency of your consciousness. That's something that was given to us. It's a gift, and just endure it to the end with love. That's it, man. Appreciate you.
That was awesome. Thank you very much, Stephen. I really appreciate that. We'll wrap it up now. Thank you, everybody in the chat. That's what's up. Well, a lot of people were here from the beginning to end, and actually, at one point, the show, the longer it went on, the more people were watching. That's actually rare. So that's what's up. So thank you, everybody, again. Thank you all for making the show, the rejects, and Stephen again. That was awesome stuff. And until the next one, everybody be well. Later.